Let's take a look at the Spurs depth chart.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I know, it's just the start of the work week, right? Eesh, yeah. Hey, but the good news is we're going to help you get through it right here on Locked On Spurs, talking all things silver and black. And as always, we thank you all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen. You guys made the right choice. Subscribe to wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app. The list goes on and on. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Hey, so we're having an audio-only show today. Unfortunately, we cannot get schedules to meet up with our guests for video, but hey, we're here nonetheless, and y'all here really just focus on what the Spurs are up to, or in this case, some topics, not our ugly mugs you can hit your face on that YouTube there. But nevertheless, we'll be joined. You hear him in the background already. That is Rahul Dominguez of the AP Sports. We're going to bring him on in just a few seconds. I'm going to set it up for us, though. With the Spurs training camp just right around the corner, media day right around the corner as well. Can you believe it? It's that time. And, the whole point of training camp and preseason games is to kind of weed out the roster before the real deal begins, the regular season. So today we're going to be looking at the Spurs depth chart. Where are they strongest? Where are they weakest? Where can they use maybe just a little beefing up? Where there could be a logjam? We're going to be discussing that and more. And let's go ahead and bring him on. He is Rahul Dominguez, AP Sports. Follow him on X at Dominguez5. Make sure you do that right now. Rahul, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. And by the way, before we hit record, you and I were just kind of like, whoa, the season's right around the corner. Like, it's coming fast.
Yeah, it came pretty quickly. It feels like, especially with the Olympics sort of, going right in the middle, and it kind of felt like a NBA with the Olympics going on.
It really did. And I'm just like, wow, where did the time go? I really wish there was a real, and why do I remember back in the day, a real NBA offseason? Like, real was just dormant. Like, I remember that. Real's quiet.
Yeah, social media sort of taking that away, and all the free agency. So, it feels like it's just basically like a week or two off, and then you're right back at it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Well, so we're right back at it. Training camp is right around the corner. We'll got to get through media day first. That's coming up as well. But as we're heading into training camp, as I said a little while ago, the team, coaching staff, everybody involved, we're going to be looking and evaluating the talent on the roster before submitting their regular season schedule, the regular season roster. So let's go to dive into that. That's what we're going to be focusing on. And let's start off with the kind of the obvious one that I think everybody's talking about right now is the point guard depth. So just briefly, we got Trey Jones, we got CP3, Chris Paul, we have Blake Wesley, and we got, I guess we'll slot them in here for now. We'll shift them in a bit. We have Stephon Castle. So those are four guys right there. I think it's safe to say the Spurs are pretty solid at the point guard spot, aren't they, Raul?
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, look, coming into last year, I mean, people, even though they did have Trey, people were still saying like, oh, we don't have a point guard. But I think Trey proved last season or reaffirmed last season that, he's one heck of a point guard. So this year you're coming in with just a lot more. You have, Chris Paul's going to start. Trey Jones should be the backup. Blake Wesley, I don't know how they're going to, but need to find that young man some playing time because he's a heck of a player. And, he just goes downhill offensively all the time. So he's the kind of guy you need in there to help out, especially if the second unit is having trouble scoring. And then you also mentioned that Castle. I think Castle's going to get some time at point guard, especially working with CP3 because, I still think, the Spurs would like to have Castle be their point guard of the future, their starting point guard of the future.
Yeah, I've been talking about this position during the offseason, point guard spot, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Wesley. Technically, I think by rules, the Spurs can still send Wesley to the Austin Spurs, but this would be it for him. I think you can do 3-year pro players to go to the G League and back. So they could if they want to. I don't know. It'll be kind of deflating for him. I don't think it will be. I think if they go that route, he'll accept it. But what's even making it tougher for him is that, sure, I get it. Trey Jones and CP3, he ain't going to leap over them as far as getting a max time at that PG spot. The wild card is Steph Castle, because Steph Castle does something that Wesley can't, and that plays better defense. So, and that's going to win over probably the coaching staff. Do you see an issue where maybe Wesley gets buried in the bench, or, man, I mean, I hope not, but possibly gets waived?
I don't think he'll get waived, but I could see him not getting a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they would send him to Austin. That they may send him down there once in a while just to get his legs in shape, in case they do need him. But like I said, I mean, it's going to be difficult, but they need to find him some playing time. I think he made some good progress last season.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just needs a little bit more playing time. He's one of those kind of fiery competitors that you need out there. Like a TJ McConnell, with the Pacers.
Right.
Just someone that comes in there and just kind of wreaks havoc and helps sort of ignite your second unit. So
yeah.
But it's going to be tough, with him getting playing time. Because if you think of all the wings they have and all the guards they have, and again, 2 point guards, and then possibly 3 with Castle. So it's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be difficult to find him playing time.
Yeah, and you throw in too Malachi Flynn, who they signed in the offseason as well. That point guard battle is going to be pretty interesting in training camp and in preseason. Malachi Flynn, again, I guess a guy that, man, he could go to Austin or the Spurs, waive him, before the start of the season. That's an option there. Guy dropped 50 points in his career in game, so there's that. But still young guy, 4-year pro. So he has NBA experience, but that is the one position where I think the Spurs are definitely solid at. They are good. I'm gonna give that 5 stars. They're fine. They got insurance. Knock on wood, something to have a CP3. They got Trey Jones. They got Steph Castle. And let's face it, too, Raul, the coaches have trying to give a CP3 a lot of load management, too, to keep his league fresh. So that's where the depth comes in. Raul, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I was going to say that was a great point, as far as with CP3, I wasn't thinking about his injuries, but just sort of a load management, and I know the, Spurs aren't going to want him to play, 35 minutes, per game, all season. I'm sure they'll give him a break here or there, or maybe take him out here and there. But, the Spurs are brilliant as far as getting these older players the rest that they need. I mean, look at what they did to extend Tim Duncan's career, Parker's career, Ginobili's career. They brought in vets like Kerr and Porter and Michael Finley and extended their career. So, CP is definitely going to get the rest he needs.
Oh, for sure. And as you mentioned, Pop is very mindful of that, too. So they could shelve CP3 if he's still on the roster towards the end of the season. And if there's a possibility of a play-on push, they'll have CP3. All right, so we're giving the Spurs point guard depth an A+. Let's move on now to the guard position, so the shooting guard spot here. Again, the Spurs should be okay in this spot. Let's go and look at the depth chart here. Blake Wesley technically can't slide into there, so we'll throw Wesley in there. I think that's where maybe he'll be able to get some minutes there. Steph Castle, technically he is a guard. They list him as a guard, so he can play the off guard spot there as well. Malachi Branham is there. David Duke Jr., I believe, is a two-way guy, likely be Austin, so we'll kind of shelve him there. But what do you think about their off guard spot there? I think it's still solid, and it's very just the guard position, either point guard or in this case, the shooting guard. They got a lot of interchangeable players there. Hey, I want to talk to you about Game Time. Go to gametime.co right now. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Make getting tickets easier for your favorite live events that much better. Game Time filters out the fluff, so you only get incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Hey, Game Time has it all. They have the super deal. They got seats view before you buy. They got curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats, the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, You will be pleasantly surprised with this app. Go get it right now. Game Time Picks, again, that's a curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. Hey, they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now. San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving. They'll have it. Check out the menu. We're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. You got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now. San Antonio, follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from Cybertron Springs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Yeah, I was going to say, they have a lot of depth there where they can move people around. It wouldn't surprise me maybe to see Harrison Barnes. They're playing some off guard as well, depending on the rotations or who's in there. And of course, Devin's really done well. I think he's going to have another breakout season. Castle should get a lot of minutes there. You mentioned Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, another one who's sort of been a bit inconsistent, but he's shown really good flashes of what he could be. And then, again, people they could switch out. And who knows, maybe Keldon gets some minutes there off guard, especially after he's lost all that weight. And, looks like he might be a little quicker. I think it's a lot of depth there at off guard. But I think the key is going to be Devin. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully Devin stays healthy the whole season. But he's, like I said, he's the key to that position.
Yeah, he is. It starts and ends with him, I should say, with Devin. Breakout season. Hopefully he does. Key for me is him staying healthy. He admitted it too. He said that's one of his goals heading into this new season is staying healthy, playing close to 82 games. I know it's kind of a rarity nowadays, unless your name is Harrison Barnes. You play every game, but those are rare and few between now where players play all 82, but hopefully Devin can get close to that. And again, what I like about it is just the interchangeability that the Spurs have. You have Blake Wesley, fine. Maybe you don't get minutes at point guard spot because it's deep, but you could help out in the shooting guard spot. We didn't even mention Brandon Boston.
Yes.
Can also play the guard spot as well. 6'7" guy, 3 years out of Kentucky. So the Spurs definitely have depth at the shooting guard spot. You think they're okay there heading into the new season?
I think so. I think they're not going to want to add anyone. I think they like their depth. Definitely want to get Castle, some minutes there. I say Devin is definitely the key. But I think, if for some reason he needs a rest, I think Castle can do well there, but it just depends on sort of at what point of the season it is. But I think Castle, I still think there's a good chance Castle's going to work his way into the starting lineup, at some point this season.
Yeah, and another reason why perhaps too, we're kind of keen on Devin is because again, the Spurs, I'm assuming they're looking for that counterpart to Wemby, that 1-2 guy, that two-headed monster they have. They don't have it right now, but Devin could emerge to be that. He's close. I think he's close. He said that he doesn't want to do that. You and I were in that final conference room call with the team. That was one thing that Devin brought up last season. Said like, yeah, he wants to get more chemistry with Wemby. That he saw it developing. You think by perhaps mid-season, maybe towards the end of the season, that 1-2 punch will be really solid, or do you think the Spurs perhaps could still be looking for a counterpart to Wemby?
I think that it's going to be Devin, and definitely Devin and Wemby. They were showing some really great chemistry there near the end of the season before Devin had to take time off, and I know Devin had talked about being excited. He said he was excited for the offseason because he said that he wanted to work with Wemby even more and sort of develop more chemistry. I assumed that they've been working together. I don't,
Mhm.
I know they've had runs at the Spurs facility. I'm not sure how much of that is. I'm not sure how much Devin and Victor, played, um,
Mhm.
you know, played with each other as far as on the court, or maybe if they're working out together to sort of help build that chemistry. But I know that's something that Devin definitely wanted to do.
Right.
When they were going good, I mean, uh, Devin was getting the ball to Wemby and vice versa, and they look solid. I mean, that could definitely be a very good 1-2 punch. But it's a matter of them getting time on the court, and again, I don't mean to harp on this, but Devin staying healthy, and so that way they can build that chemistry.
Absolutely. All right. So I think Raul and I are saying thumbs up. The Spurs are set at the shooting guard spot. Let's go to switch over now to the small forward spot. This is where things get a little interesting. So you got the rookie Harrison Ingram. He's on a two-way deal. So he's there, likely will be in Austin, but who knows? Who knows? He may shine in training camp and in the preseason. Riley Minix comes in, a new kid, rookie, shine bright during the offseason. So the Spurs picked him up. City Sissoko. Where does he fit into all this? Then you have Harrison Barnes, obviously the new guy, and Julian Champagny and Keldon Johnson. They are stacked there as well. Something's going to have to give. This is another interesting position. It's likely Keldon is going to lead that charge there. He and Barnes are going to be the 1-2 right there. But do you think there's a logjam there or not really?
Um, I think there is, but I think it's a good problem to have. Again, they have so many interchangeable parts on that team. You mentioned City, and I completely forgot about City. City can
Right.
play point guard as
He's like
well.
almost like the forgotten Spur on this
Yeah,
roster.
yeah. I completely forgot him. He can play point guard. He played point guard some with Austin, so uh, you know, kid's valuable. Him and Jeremy are
Mhm.
similar players in terms of they can play multiple positions. I mean, Jeremy could even play small forward if they needed him to. Um, so they've got a lot of options there. It's a
Mhm.
good problem to have for them there. I mean, I can see Keldon playing some small forward, Harrison.
Yep.
You know, uh, I don't know if Ingram's going to be on the main roster
Mhm.
much of the season. I have a feeling he's probably going to wind up spending more time in Austin. But there are they have a lot of depth at small forward. Yes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Sohan. Although they list him as a power forward, but he can definitely play the small forward as well. We'll talk about him in just a few minutes. But the battle here I'm looking at is Ingram and Sissoko. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Ingram can shoot the ball a little bit better than City can. Then again, pretty much everybody on the roster needs help on the outside. I mean, seriously, go up and down the roster right now. Perhaps that's the biggest issue with the Spurs is consistent from the outside the paint.
Hmm.
The closest you get to is Barnes, Wemby, perhaps, and Devin. But after that, it's kind of shaky. But
Hmm.
Ingram and Sissoko. I talked about Sissoko recently on Locked On Spurs, where we're saying, well, how does he fit in the roster? How does he fit? Is he under the microscope right now? He got injured last season. Spent a bulk of his rookie season with Austin. Spoke to for a European outlet about how he got depressed. That he wanted to play, he just couldn't. He had to have some of his teammates go over there and kind of cheer him up a bit. So I hope it's just in between the the years there. He just needs to snap out of it and come out. I think he will. It looks like he lost some weight. Serious. I mean, he's 6'8", 200 pounds. He's a big kid.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the shooting now. Ingram, 6'5", small forward, rookie season. He shoots the ball better. I'm looking forward like who's going to be fighting for minutes between Ingram and Sissoko, because ultimately they're likely going to be teammates in Austin, aren't they? Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You want to go to FanDuel.com right now. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So much when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You just got to go to FanDuel.com right now. Speaking of FanDuel.com, look, the NBA season is also around the corner. Spurs fans, time to have some fun with your silver and black on the court. The app is very easy to get, very easy to use, user-friendly, very intuitive. Make your picks, 1, 2, 3. Bet on parlays, bet on win spreads, totals. I mean, seriously, you can have so much fun with sports this sports season with FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sportsbook. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Another reason why you got to go to FanDuel when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Go to FanDuel.com right now, America's #1 sportsbook.
Yeah, I would suspect that they are.
Yeah.
Sissoko, I think Sissoko gives you just a dog on defense. I mean, kid really plays hard on defense. So that's something that Pop always loves is someone that gives maximum effort on both sides, but especially defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see City getting more time with the main club than Ingram
Mm-hmm.
this season, and depending on how he does, that could change. Maybe if he doesn't do quite what they want, they could start maybe giving some of those minutes to Ingram. But it also depends on how the other guys do, and injuries, rest. It's a long season, so.
Mm-hmm.
But City is another guy. I mean, they have a good problem as far as this depth with the young players. Blake,
Yeah.
City, Malachi. Guys that they need. You would think that they need to find minutes for.
Mm-hmm. I look at City Sissoko, and again, it's hard to really pinpoint what he does because he only played 12 games last year in San Antonio. And usually that was in garbage time or the games was just out of hand. Either the Spurs are down or up on the scoreboard. Put in 3.8 points per game, 1.8 rebounds, shot 48% from the field, but 8% from the 3-point line. Again, hard to really kind of determine that because 12 games is not enough to really assess how he'll be on the NBA level. So he definitely has to get out there, get more playing time, and show what he can do. I think the Spurs are high on him, but let's not forget too, Raul, he was a second-round pick, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And second-round picks usually, are really, really, really struggling and really have to fight for roster spots. We are talking with Rahul Dominguez of the AP Sports. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez5 right now. Fortunately, we cannot get our schedules aligned for a video call. Raul's a busy man, and he told me that if he gets on the screen, that he'll have to fight off all the fans off when they see him in the streets. He doesn't want that problem, so that's where we have to go down this route here.
I think it's
Is
just
that
the
true,
opposite. No, I think it's just the opposite. They're like, "Hey, I know you from somewhere." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Weren't you bagging my groceries?" And that kind of
right? Yeah. I thought I saw you pumping gas. I don't know. They don't do that anymore. Bro, and I remember the days where there were a person would come up to your car and pump the gas for you. It was called full service, but they don't do that anymore. And we're looking at the Spurs depth at each position right here on Locked On Spurs with training camp right around the corner. I think the first preseason game is about 13, 12 games. So days. So it's here, man. It is here. All right. We looked at the all the guard positions. We looked at the small forward And let's look at the big guys already. Let's go to the big boys, the forwards now. You have Zach Collins on there. You have Big Mamu, Sandro. He's there as well. You also have, I'm going down the depth chart here. We have Julian Champagny. You have Harrison Barnes there. So, and then, of course, you have Jeremy Sohan. So, again, they look pretty solid there. I think more than likely Barnes is going to get the starting nod, and rightfully so. He earned it. Guy's an Iron Man. Played 82 games, durable, reliable, 20 night a game. He's going to give you 20 and something each and every day. Double figure scoring and close to double figure rebounding and making the smart plays. He's probably already got that position on lock right now, so he's probably starting. But then after that, you got Zach Collins, who likely is going to be off the bench still, right? And he'll probably be the first guy to back up Wemby, unless you see something different here. How do you assess the big boys here at the forward spot?
Yeah, I think it's likely going to be Wemby, Jeremy, and then Barnes at the forward. The three big men spot.
Yeah,
Zach probably definitely going to be the first big man off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
But man, was it the way Mamu, Sandro worked with Wemby?
That was nice.
I would love to see that combination again. Who knows? Maybe when Victor comes off takes his rest and comes back, maybe Mamu's already in there, or maybe they bring him in with Wemby, sort of give that different look. But I would love to see them pair together because they worked well together, and I believe Wemby had said that was one guy that he was looking forward to playing with just because of the chemistry, and they just seemed to mesh together, I guess, during the first workouts they had. So I would love to see Mamu get more playing time. But center, aside from Wemby and Collins, I think they may need another big man, but they're really set at small and power forward though.
Yeah, and I believe Bassey's still on the roster, right?
Yes,
yes. Yeah. I was going to get into that. I was going to just lump Bassey and Wemby in the center spot there. We'll talk about that in just a few seconds, like we need to anyway. But Wemby, but as far as just the big boys, the forwards are concerned, I think they're set. Zach Collins, what I liked about him is he accepted coming off the bench. I mean, he had no choice, obviously. I mean, Wemby was just Wemby, and that makes sense. I would like to see, if the Spurs experimented with Sohan at point guard spot, if they're going to do another experiment this upcoming season, I wouldn't mind trying the Twin Towers thing again. But I would have seen him and Wemby and Collins play together. They kind of went away from that last season once they made the shift to Wemby just kind of taking over the center spot by himself. So if they're going to do that, but if it's not working, just cut it off quick. Do you think? I think they're okay here at the forward spot. Mamu, I spoke to people that worked out with him, and by the way, everybody, every year they do this boxing preseason training camp with the local boxing legend Jesse James Leha. That camp told me that Mamu was impressive, that he looked like he was very hungry, really wanted to show out this upcoming season. So, and he stood out among that boxing training, conditioning camp. So hopefully that'll translate into training camp and then preseason. But I mean, Collins, Mamu, again, Barnes, not Barnes, I'm sorry, Jeremy Sohan. There's some interesting storylines here. I think we're forgetting about Champagny. How does he fit into all this? Last year, he didn't really shoot the ball that great. And I was kind of surprised, a little surprised, no knock on him, that the Spurs brought him back. I thought he was going to be a casualty in the offseason. What do you think about Julian Champagny heading into this new season?
Yeah, that was my fault. I sort of, overlooked him as well. And, I didn't mean any offense by that, but they're just, have so many players right now at those wing spots. But I think Julian's going to have a tough time getting minutes, with Harrison coming in and Keldon and Jeremy and
Yeah.
Malachi, and then Castle. Who knows? Castle may spend some time at the forward as well. So I think Julian may have a little trouble getting minutes, but he's shown the times. He's a solid 3-and-D guy. It's just a matter of just some consistency with him. But he's I think someone that they brought back. I thought that they were going to bring Chetty back, but I guess money wasn't quite didn't quite fit what they wanted. But yeah, I think Julian's going to have to really work for minutes. And he's one of these guys that when he gets the opportunity, he does well. It's just just a matter of just being consistent with the shooting. And at times, when he did struggle shooting wise, that's when he lost some of his minutes. So we'll see what happens. But Julian, he's another guy that maybe could slide into that shooting guard spot, if they need him to.
Yeah. Yeah, in his first year in San Antonio, 22-23, he shot 46% from the field. Last season, it dipped to 40%. I don't know if that's just a byproduct of Wemby. He's getting more touches. That's going to be taken away from everybody, including Champagnie. That could be it, though. You look at, again, his first season, San Antonio averaged about 11 points per game. Last season, it dropped down to 6.8. So there was some drop off. Again, it could be a byproduct of the Wemby effect. That could be it. Touches are going to be few and far between when you got that guy leading the charge, that being Wemby. But the more concerning thing for me is just the 3-point shooting. This is a team that lacks it. And Julian went from 40%, 41% down to 36% last year. So if he's going to carve out his role on this roster, he's got to improve that 3 shot. If he could just knock it down in somewhat of a consistent base, he may stick around longer. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Harrison right now, the most consistent 3-point shooters that I see on the roster right now are Harrison and Wemby. I know a lot of guys have been working on their shots, 3-point shots. Devin, Trey, Keldon, Devin, Trey, Jeremy, Julian. But again, what you were saying, just a matter of just sort of being consistent with that shot. It seemed like right now there's a lot of mid-range shooters on this team. So in order to sort of stretch out the defense and the opposing defense and their offenses, they definitely need to improve their 3-point shooting. And Julian definitely needs to get back to where he was that first season with the Spurs, where he's hitting threes pretty consistently. The other guy that is a heck of a 3-point shooter is Mamu. Again, I keep bringing him up. Love to see him get some minutes. He's a really good 3-point shooter, very clutch too. So, he's someone that just alone by his 3-point shooting may get some more playing time.
Yeah, last season, Mamu connected on 33% of his 3-point shots there. Not too bad. And I look at Mamu, and he can carve out a role. 6'11", 240. He's a big guy in the middle, very humble. But he knows that European style. That's a big reason why he and Wemby clicked towards the end of the season. They understood one another. And, when you get a arena endorsement from Wemby, that's a good sign you might be around next season. And sure enough, it happened. Just a tough guy. I think the Spurs overall, you throw in Mamu, as we mentioned, you throw in Collins, Sohan, before we shift to the center spot, should be a short conversation, but with Sohan, though, do you think he's going to be more under a microscope going into year 3? Because by now things should start coming together, or as the kids say now in the NBA, the game is slowing down for them. Do you think this is it for Jeremy?
I don't know if he's going to be more under the microscope than last year. Poor guy. I mean, having to play point guard for the first time in his life, and having to learn on the NBA level is just, that's just a lot to ask of anyone. And, I was one of the ones that thought he could do it, but, being challenged, every time you get the ball court, I think, a struggle for him. But I think Jeremy's going to be more relaxed this season. He knows from the start of the season. He doesn't have to learn a whole new position. His offensive game has gotten better every year. I'm sure he's been working on it. I've seen him work. Seen some of the videos where he's working on his shot. So he's definitely working to extend his range. And Jeremy just plays with so much joy and excitement on the court. Between him and Keldon, I mean, that's just instant excitement. Anytime they're out there, you hit a big shot and they're celebrating like they won the NBA championships.
Yep,
and that fires up the home crowd. So I think he's going to have a great season. And I think it's going to be part of it because I think he's not going to feel like he's under the microscope. He may be, but I think he's not going to feel like, he's being scrutinized as much as he was last season. Because I know last season, especially early in the season, really took a toll on him. You could just see it.
You saw it, yeah.
He wasn't the same, sort of joyful guy. He didn't really like talking to the media. Didn't really like, just his whole demeanor was different than his rookie season. So I think this year with that off his plate, he's not having to worry about being a point guard. I think
for sure
that's going to allow him to, have some more fun out there. Having Chris Paul out there to throw him some lobs, playing along a full season alongside Wemby, at his natural position, is going to help him as well. So I think he's going to have another breakout season. I think he's going to be sort of. I keep saying he sort of reminds me of Kawhi in terms of his development on offense, just sort of his growth. I mean, Kawhi was a great defender, and then his offense bloomed. I think the same thing with Jeremy.
Yeah, and if you're looking for signs that he's trending in the right direction, they are there. So let's go and look at what signs that Sohan is doing well. And start off on the defensive end. I think that's where he excels. You look at last season, career high in rebounding, 6.4 rebounds, career high in assists. So perhaps playing point guard did pan out a little bit. He went up to 3.4 assists per game as opposed to 2.5 in his rookie season. Steals about the same, close to 1 a game. That's good. Points per game did spike a bit. He went from 11 per game in his rookie season to 11.6, so nearly about 12. Again, you got to keep everybody's got to wrap into this equation here, the Wemby effect. Wemby's going to get the touches. So yes, PPGs might be down for some players that you would expect to score more, but you got Wemby, so keep that in mind. Again, but this is just like a broken record, Raul. Shooting, it's not just Sohan, but since we're talking about him, you're looking at his field goal percentage, 45% his rookie season, down to 43% last year. But his three-point shot percentage went up, so there's that. He went from 24% in his rookie season to 31% last year. So you like at least that it's trending in the right direction, Raul.
Yeah, I think maybe another reason why maybe his shooting may have, percentage may have gone down a little bit was, he wasn't set up in the same spots, especially early on, being the point guard, having to bring the ball up. He wasn't in the same spots that he was in his rookie season. Jeremy's one of those almost a Dennis Rodman type in terms of getting rebounds and follows, or running to the basket for lobs, or follow ups. Him being point guard, he wasn't in those same spots, not early on. So that definitely hurt him shooting wise early, and then maybe it threw him out a little bit out of rhythm.
Yeah.
But he's someone that just works really hard. He may miss 10 shots, but he's going to make 10 or 15 more just out of hustle.
Right.
So Jeremy, he's not a guy that I worry about as far as scoring wise. But I'm sort of eager to see how his shot has developed, because I know he's really been working hard on
for sure
extending his range.
Absolutely. All right. And do we even need to talk about it? The center spot, you got Wemby and Bassie. I guess you could throw in Zach Collins as well, but solid. You knock on wood, Wemby doesn't have any major injuries. He's going to get his bumps and bruises along the way, but nothing major next season. Bassey's going to be interesting because he's coming back after a long time away from the court. He got hurt early in last season, and he is back. Bouncy big. He's very athletic, can just really protect the rim. Good rebounder. I mean, you gotta understand that Bassey's coming back from a season where he didn't really play much, hardly at all. But as far as the center is concerned, they're set. You got Wemby, you're set, Raul. That's it, right? Wemby, and we're done.
Yeah, I mean, Wemby and Collins and Mamu can probably play some center if needed. And then Jeremy, depending on
he played on 5.
If they want to do a that's that smaller lineup, he could be center. But yeah, Bassey. I mean, I always love watching Bassey play. Big man that hustles and works hard and always seems to be in the right spot. But same with him as Devin. You hope he can stay healthy because I think his previous season or maybe the season before that was cut short by injuries as well. So and Zach, Zach had a shoulder injury, I believe it was at the end of the season. So if we can keep those two guys healthy, it'll be a good for as far as the backup. Starting center is a lock. I mean,
sure.
Wemby is just an amazing athlete. I know Pop had talked about kind of seeing what he could do, that they were going to kind of let him be and see what he was capable of and kind of adjust. I still don't think Pop knows what he can do. I don't think anybody knows what he can do. Yeah. Just because he's such a unique athlete. So, but center, I mean, you've got a guy who I think is going to definitely be all NBA this season. Should have been Defensive Player of the Year last year. Yeah. I think definitely this year he will be.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Well, based on the assessment, because we're running up against it right now, it looks like the Spurs are pretty deep at almost all positions. Maybe you can make an argument for the center spot simply because if Wemby goes down. I mean, that's a huge loss for the Spurs. You're not going to wood that doesn't happen, but even at that, they should be okay. It is a little interesting because you go from one extreme Wemby then to no knock on Bassey and Collins and Mamu, but you go to Bassey, Collins, and Mamu. So that's it, though. Guard positions, both they're set. Forward positions, both are set. Center spot, they are set. It looks like this could be a very fun, exciting team with the depth. The second unit's going to look good if they go with Trey Jones leading it. You have a possibility of Jones and Keldon and Zach and Castle. I mean, seriously, they are stacked. But it looks like they are set. He is Rahul Dominguez. Make sure to follow him on X at Dominguez Cinco. He writes for the AP Sports, and he's getting ready to cover all things Spurs in just a few weeks, aren't you?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season. And I was just going to say, I know people may say, well, they need more veteran depth, but you need to give some of these young guys a chance. I mean, Devin's developing quickly. Jeremy,
Keldon's a veteran. He's going to year 6, right? So
yep. And I love Keldon's game. I know some people not Keldon, but I love his hustle. I love the fact that he's willing to do anything that's asked of him. So let these kids. I say kids. Let these kids continue to develop. So.
Yeah, and they'll be fine. Yes, if you want a veteran presence, technically there is veteran presence now. There's not that many rookies or sophomores anymore on this roster. You got your Ingrams and your Barnes, yes, but you also have 3 or 4 or more year pros now on the roster. So this is already getting up there as far as a veteran team. They're still young, but they're not as young as they used to be. Again, thank you, Raul, for stopping by here at Locked On Spurs. We avoided you from getting mobbed by the paparazzi when you're at HEB and shopping at the mall. So I'm going to see you in a few days. So I'll see you in midday just coming up. Yep. I'll see you soon, and we'll catch up then. Everybody, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow. Special guest. Stay tuned. Discussing all things silver and black. So for Rahul Dominguez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.